Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Goblin Views. I am your titular goblin, and today, I am accompanied by Akasha.
Hello.
And today we are, reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming. Who's the director of the... I don't even know who directs these... Who directs these films?
Hold on.
I know his name, and I've seen it all over the place since this new one's coming out, but...
Hold on. Directed by John Watts.
John Watts, yes. That's why I always think that, because for some reason the Mark Webb, who was the director of the last Spider-Man films, and Watts, for me it's just funny because Webb like a spider and then Watts like Electro. Anyway, but yeah, directed by John Watts. Made within the... It's like the the 16th, 17th film in the MCU. Something like that.
Yeah.
And I just want to preface this review that yes, it is going to be a little weird reviewing this movie since it is the middle of technically a franchise, but we are coming at this reviewing it like they are their own kind of Spider-Man films.
Yeah. We kind of got to tweak around this because obviously there's things in here that are from other movies.
Yeah, because there are 27 fucking movies within this franchise, and like we said, this is the 17th or 18th. Hey Nasty, what's up? Welcome to the stream. I hope that you enjoy talking about Spider-Man Homecoming with us.
We are trying to keep it down to like
just
analyzing the essence of Spider-Man.
Yeah, just analyzing what happens in the movie, but this movie does, like, the main plot, especially the main villain, is kind of centralized off of the plot of the other movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we got Tom Holland in this movie. We've got Zendaya. Barely. I mean, she's more a character in the other ones, but she's kind of a secretive character to be revealed at the end. Who's the guy who plays Ned? I don't know his name.
It's like...
Because I just want to give him a shout out because... I just want to, I guess, get into our non-spoiler talk first.
Jacob Batalon.
Jacob Batalon. Shout out to Jacob Batalon. Holy shit, he's like the heart and soul of this movie. I just wanted to, like, usually we like talking about, like, what are some of the worst and or best aspects of a film when we're discussing the and I'd have to say he's, like, one of the best parts of this film.
Yeah, it's really sweet. I do want to talk about, probably near the end, like, on that point, how this movie, I've been talking about this a lot with Brant, but this movie, I feel, really tries to make its own identity by focusing on different things that the other Spider-Man movies did not. Like, the whole actually being in school aspect and stuff.
Yeah, and like, the Andrew Garfield movie kinda tries to do that, but I mean, they graduate right in the second movie, so it really kind of gives it up instantly.
Yeah, and this one, like, there's actually, like, a lot of set pieces in the school and stuff.
I'd say over 25% of the movie is at the school.
Yeah.
If not more.
And I mean, like, in the Sam Raimi films, school is basically fucking non-existent.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's because he graduates, like, the first second you start, and it's, like, not supposed to be about that.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not saying that it's any better or worse for, like, doing that. I just think it's very different from what previous Spider-Man movies were doing.
Yeah, I get you completely.
Yeah.
But what are some other aspects, non-spoiler wise, that you'd like to talk about? I'd say that this is just... I guess let's do... did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's such a solid film. It's like one of the most solid Spidey stories as well.
Yeah, I was saying I think that a lot... There's a really weird dynamic with this movie where people say it's a really great Marvel film, but they say it's a bad Spider-Man film.
Which we disagree with completely.
Yeah, I think...
just to hold on, not to interrupt you, just asking Nasty, is the audio all good? Just making sure. Continue.
Yeah. What did Nasty say, though?
Now Tom Holland's in college in the new movies, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, I don't know, I just... There is a lot of stuff where sometimes the Marvel stuff seems interruptive.
It's great, awesome.
Good. where all the other Marvel stuff seems a little interruptive to the Spider-Man story. But it's just like, I don't know. They really try to focus it on his friends and the school.
Yeah, we were saying that this movie both greatly benefits and loses some things. The fact that it is part of like an over 20 movie series.
Yeah, because I was saying they could do some very unique things, which we'll mention later because it's spoilers.
Yeah, this movie has like all around just some good acting. Like not like they're all the acting's like great.
All the actors are really good.
They're all flawless.
Yeah. I cannot believe that some people actually like the Amazing Spider-Man movies over these. Like technically,
because of the acting.
Because the acting is better, the action is shot better. I mean, like some of the web swinging in the Amazing Spider-Mans is really good, but it's just like I was saying.
Here, I gotta move, Davey. Continue talking.
Oh yeah. But there's some scenes in The Amazing Spider-Man where they literally just, like, darken a whole fight scene, and then, like, the one I was talking about where they shoot everyone's shoulder down from
Oh, well, it's not even that, like, compare, like... I know this is a little bit later on in the movie, but the first fight scene in this movie where Spider-Man's in the bank, right?
Yeah.
That's, like, one of the most clear action shots. You can see him beating the shit. They're out of them. They're kind of beating the shit out of him with, like, their alien technology. I know we're kind of bouncing ahead, but I'm just comparing it.
Yeah.
Compare it to the first fight scene of him seeing him as Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Man 1, where it's like he sexually harasses a woman accidentally, and then he beats up a bunch of random guys. But also the way that scene is just edited, where it's like it cuts to black every single time a punch is thrown. The lights on the fucking subway are just like constantly going out and out and out and out and out and out. Just to make it seem like a cool, edgy, like, fight scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They do really try to make those movies edgy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least the first one. I don't think the second one's as edgy.
Yeah.
Man, I love when Brandt's dedication to changing suits of Spider-Man's for the movie Yes, exactly! Exactly. That's the kind of dedication you get here. I try to match the game and stuff to what we're talking about. Greetings and salutations. Welcome, Rose. I hope that you are excited to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming just like we are.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's just like I was saying, though, the fight scenes are just so much clearer and better than, like, the Andrew Garfield films in like every single way. I'd say every fight scene in this movie is better than every fight scene in the Andrew Garfield films. And I like some of the fight scenes in those films. I'm not, you know what I mean? That was one of my takeaways from when we were reviewing that, is that I liked the fight scenes a lot, but holy shit, the ones in this one are just better.
Yeah, no. And now that we're getting down to like the end of it, and we're at the last like series of Spider-Man films as they are now, we are going to be just making comparisons like that, obviously.
Yeah. Also, Rose says, I've got a killer headache. Sorry to hear that. I'm kind of still sick too and have a fucking killer headache, but I'm here struggling with you as well, so I feel you. But she also said, but I'm here because Zendaya is a woman crush Wednesday. I agree. Zendaya is a woman crush Wednesday, as Tom Holland would tell you. I wanted to take a quick derailing. Have you seen that fucking clip that goes around on the internet where it's like Tom Holland in different interviews being asked like different aspects about his life? Like when he first became an actor, he was asked like, who's his biggest crush, and he said Zendaya.
Oh, really?
And now he's just dating Zendaya.
Oh, my God.
When he was first asked, when, like, the superhero craze he was asked what superhero he wanted to play, he said Spider-Man.
Oh.
He was asked what actor, if any actor, he could possibly work with, and he said Jake Gyllenhaal. And then the Far From Home movie happened. I just think it's really funny that Tom Holland's really actually out here living his fucking best life.
Yeah.
I've loved her since Shake It Up. No, Zendaya's fucking excellent. She is so talented, and she's barely in this fucking movie, but she's very good in this movie. Even though the complaint of caution I did have about her is they give her the most, like, Marvel jokes out of, like, all the characters.
Just, like, awkward dialogue.
Yeah,
like
well,
those
her character is just supposed to be, like, she's the only one that notices that Peter's kind of weird. and she makes jokes about it, but at the end of the day, the jokes don't go anywhere, and that's kind of the joke or whatever.
Yeah.
Because another not complaint, I guess, about this movie, because I don't know, but out of all of the movies, Peter is the most obvious about him being Spider-Man in this series of films.
Nuts.
There's like certain bits in this film where he gets like alien technology and then he just brings it to shop class to work on it at school.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, okay,
And
cool.
I'm sorry, but the way I like hyper focus.
Marvel is always bad at jokes, says Nasty. I'd say yes, but I gotta admit, saying that some of the jokes are bad, and sorry to interrupt you, I just wanted to talk about that, but Akash and I were actually laughing at a fair few bit of jokes in this movie.
Yeah, usually I don't fucking laugh at Marvel jokes.
You did say that like halfway through you were getting pretty tired of it, though.
I was, but the beginning of this movie, I was like, holy shit, they're actually trying to do like Spider-Man humor. Like, this is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I will say, like, Tom Holland, his Spider-Man has like some fucking lame ass one-liners, and I get they're supposed to be lame, but there's a certain way you're supposed to play them off as lame where you're like, okay, that's also funny and endearing. And some of them I was just like, this is not a funny one-liner. You know what I mean? At all.
Yeah. Hold on. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Rose is saying,
You good?
so that sort of dream roll stuff is adorable. What do you talk about, Rose? At least I know for JJBA. What is JGBA?
I don't know.
Is that another Marvel movie? I don't know. But anyway, so anything else you want to say about non-spoilers before we get into talk about the plot of the movie? Fucking JoJo. Oh yeah, duh.
Oh, yeah,
the only JJ that Rose ever talks about.
Yeah. No, I would just say, like, I would definitely recommend this film, and I think it's really...
Oh yeah, highly recommend.
It's really lovely, and
It is definitely... I don't know. The thing is, though, it's like... It's easy to say, oh, I recommend it, but if you haven't watched any of the MCU films, I don't know, I'd say you're kind of shit out of luck.
Yeah, that's the only problem, is like...
That's like the biggest problem of this movie, is how much it does depend on the other MCU movies, because like I was saying, the Vulture's the main villain of this movie, and his whole plot revolves around the ending of one of the Avengers movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you can just kind of take it as a viewer.
I don't know.
Well, no, think about it. You can just be like, oh, well, a lot of crazy shit happens in this world. He's getting the technology from all these
I guess,
disasters.
but it's just like, there's so much like... I guess let's just get into it, because the movie starts out with the Vulture... and he's investigating. He and a chop shop crew are hired by the city after the events of the Avengers 1. And like we said, we're going to try to keep the mention of other MCU movies to a minimal. But there was an alien invasion, and now there's just a huge mess to clean up, basically. Mm-hmm. So the city ordered for Michael Keaton, his name's Adrian Toomey, aka the fucking Toombs, sorry. Yeah. Aka the Vulture. Yeah, Spidey is introduced in Civil War, which is another thing that we'll have to talk about, but so right now we're 8 years in the past, where Michael Keaton's crew or whatever are cleaning up the mess of the aliens, and they're getting all this alien tech, and they're disposing of it or whatever. And then they get, I guess, interrupted by, what would you even call them? Tony Stark people?
Tony Stark FBI?
Yeah, Tony Stark's own personal... I don't fucking know what they are. But they show up, and they're like, okay, Tony Stark has paid for us to come in and take care of this or whatever. So, do you want to explain this part a little bit better? Because you had
yes,
you were talking about this part a little bit better than I can.
So, basically, I had a problem where I was... So this crew hired by Tony Stark comes in to clean up the mess because we assume like he's like, well, it's the mess I made, so
I'm gonna pay. Well, that's what he says. That's basically what the news says. Is Tony Stark is like, oh, I made the mess. I'm gonna pay for it to clean it up, which is a good thing in theory. It is
a good thing in theory to do, yes. But this crew, run by Adrian Toomes, was already hired by the city.
Who is played by Michael Keaton. Did we say that?
Yes.
I think we did, but
yes.
Yeah.
Adrian Toomes' crew was hired by the city to clean it up. So my problem / not problem was that, like, Tony Stark should have realized, like, he should have done a little bit of research and figured out that the city had already hired some people and then reimbursed them since they're not going to get this work.
Yeah, because the thing,
like a year.
The thing is, it's like Adrian Toomes goes up to this lady who comes up and tells them to fuck off, and he's like, I bought cars for this job. I'm gonna lose my house if you fucking fire me. And she just tells him to fuck off. But like, I know Tony Stark's supposed to be like a cynical bastard or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if he heard that, he would not have gone for it. I feel, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels really weird and disconnected just because it's like Tony Stark's not there. And I get it, he's like a billionaire, and obviously he can't be there.
He's got to work through other people.
Yeah, but it's just very, very strange because it's like.
This is one of the reasons, too, where I'll talk about it later, where I just wish more people would just, like, question Tony Stark along this line of like, this movie, and be like, oh, what the fuck are you doing?
I completely agree. So basically, they get fired, and they decide, they steal a bunch of the alien tech, and decide that they're gonna become like. So they decide that they're gonna steal some of the alien tech, and we flash to 8 years later, and they have now become like this full operation where they go and steal materials from like Avengers fights and stuff, and clean up from like Tony Stark stuff. Mm-hmm. Which is fucking genius because
it is a good plot.
Well, no, it is because it's like it's worth like priceless alien technology. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That they now have like a monopoly on. But yeah, this whole business that they're doing is kind of like under the radar or whatever. Because they're very secretive about it. No one in the Avengers knows about it and stuff, and that's kind of a whole thing. Anything else you want to mention about the Chop Shop? Obviously, they make the Vulture Suit, and that's what...
It looks awesome.
Yeah, that's how Michael Keaton's character goes and steals the stuff, is that he'll fly out into the city and, like, rob a truck with some... Like, they have some
phase shifters.
What?
They have, like, material phase shifters.
Well, yeah, they have, like, these, like, little bots that they put on, like, a wall that will create, like, a... invisible, like, non-existent barrier that you can, like, walk through. Mm-hmm. So they'll, like, break into trucks without the trucks knowing and stuff like that to steal materials.
Yeah. But I did want to say, this is one of the firsts I was noticing, like, something different with this movie from the other ones, that they open up this movie with the background for the villain, and it has nothing to do with Spider-Man.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very interesting because obviously all the Toby ones open with the narration, and then all of the Andrew ones open with the fucking stupid spy bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm glad they were able to turn such a stupid-looking design into a good-looking costume for Vulture. You're so right, because I always thought Vulture looked fucking lamest out of, like, these Spider-Man villains, but in this movie, they make him look scary.
Yeah, he's like... Akash and I kept talking about, like, they purposely make him, like, a never-ending fucking thing that's hunting Spider-Man. And he's fucking actually kind of terrifying in this movie.
Yeah. He looks like Mothman.
He does kind of look like Mothman a little bit, but no, I gotta say, like, if anything, I've seen, if anything, one of the worst takes I've ever seen is that people say that these MCU Spidey villain suits are terrible. Fuck you.
They're good. They're so good.
They're better than they possibly could be. They're better than they should be.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, they're more fucking clever than, honestly, like, anything should be.
And Rose is right with the fluffy jacket. Like, they give him a distinctive outfit for when he's not the Vulture.
Oh yeah, he's got like a fluffy vest, like a pilot vest or whatever.
Yeah, and it's really funny because did you notice? So he's like bald, but he has the fluffy jacket neck and the brown jacket. So it's like he's a vulture because he has the bald head, then the ruffle of feathers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's very good, and I mean that's kind of supposed to be the design of the vulture in the first place as well, you know.
Yeah. Rose said it really looks like a vulture.
Yeah. So clever, exactly, Rose. It really is. That's one of the props we really got to give to this movie. Anything else on that bit? I don't
think so.
I guess we go into
the little trip.
Yeah, the whole
Civil War.
the whole montage that begins with Civil War, which is a movie that we now have to bring into reference. I guess if you don't know the plot of Civil War, if I break it down, Captain America and Iron Man had a disagreement because Iron Man wants to work for the government and Captain America doesn't. That's basically it.
And they fucking slap each other with their
And Iron Man hired Spider-Man to be on a part of his side to fight in that whole thing. That's basically that bit. But then we get like a really actually good montage where it's like Spider-Man fighting in that bit from his perspective. How he gets like the suit from Tony Stark and stuff like that. I think it's a really good montage.
Well, also, I think it's really cute because he's shooting it like a video.
Oh, yeah, and it's just for himself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's like a really cute piece of dialogue where they get on the private jet, and he sits like across from Happy, who's played by Jon Favreau, who's like Tony Stark's assistant that watches over him. There's a bit where he sits across from him on the private jet, and he's like, "Have you never been on a private jet before?" And then Peter just like silently responds, "I've never been on a plane before."
Yeah.
And it's like really cute and just very innocent, and I really like it a lot.
Well, they really set it up where it's just like, okay, he is just a kid.
Yeah, a very poor kid who doesn't get to do a lot of this shit, you know what I mean?
And then on the way back, we get that fucking funny Iron Man joke we were laughing at for like 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, there's a funny joke where they're heading back, and
after
Iron Man, after the Civil War stuff, and Iron Man realizes that Peter's taking the video stuff. And there's this whole ongoing joke in the MCU that everybody is just attracted to Aunt May because she is just fucking hot in this movie series. She's played by like one of the hottest women to ever exist on the universe. It's very weird. Well, it's not weird. It's for the joke convenience, I guess. But the joke is that Iron Man wants to make an alibi video, so he says like, what, "Hey May, hope you're wearing something skimpy" or something like that.
He says, "Hey May, what are you wearing? Something skimpy, I hope."
It's just, yeah.
And then he goes, "That's inappropriate, Peter."
Yeah, it's like there are jokes in this movie that really do fucking make me laugh. And
then there's the little part where like you get a shot where near the end of the scene, where Iron Man gives him like the new suit.
He lets him keep it.
Yeah, and there's just a really nice shot where it's like directly on Tom Holland's face, and you see him really excited, and he's just like, "I can keep the suit."
Yeah, credits to Tom Holland for actually being able to act like a teenager in a movie.
Yeah.
What next? I guess.
The gag with the kids on the news, the school news.
Oh yeah, there's well, I guess we get like the first introductory bit to the school. And there's some really cool bits with the school. Like there's like a school news bulletin bit that they keep doing throughout the whole movie, where it's like the kids come together and do like a school news report on like the school TV.
Yeah, I always wish I had something like that.
Yeah, I really wish I did too, because I feel like that's kind of important.
Yeah.
But the way they like, it's just kind of a joke in this movie where it's like they just kind of talk about things in this universe that either like the reason they do it is to set up Homecoming, which is what this whole movie sets up around.
Yeah, the homecoming dance.
Yeah, the homecoming dance where they're just kind of talking about it, and one of the co-hosts asks the other co-host to Homecoming, and she rejects him.
Yeah. And it's funny editing.
Yeah, I gotta give credits to who I don't know if it was like someone else who made these specific scenes or something, but I gotta give credit to whoever directed specifically those scenes, because they are really, like, edited perfectly.
Where, like, the green screen is
like
out.
the green screen pops in and out, like, at, like, just the most perfect of times to make it seem like it's, like... I don't know, sometimes it's just like people make stuff like that and it's like, oh, they're really trying to make something like this, but it's just not working because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it feels like the people working on this movie really understood how like a high school kind of works and how awkward they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah, Rose said like a school news team. We had that, though it was a paper and a podcast. We did have a paper.
I mean, we didn't even, for my school, we didn't even have a paper.
Yeah, we did have a paper. I just thought the little TV thing was
actually
cool.
Fun story to take a little bit. Here's some Goblin lore. I tried to fucking implement a school newspaper at my school. I had a whole fucking like setup for it, and I multiple times tried to get the principal to have a sit-down meeting with me, and he would continuously tell me that it would happen, and then it never happened. So that's how much my school cared about shit like that. I guess we get a montage of Peter Parker kind of just doing Spider-Man things after that, right? Where he's just like saving cats, telling old ladies where to go. We get the Stan Lee cameo of this movie where he yells at Spider-Man and is gonna shoot him.
Yeah, I really liked it because there's a part where he goes into like a sandwich shop too. And I've been to New York before, and just these interactions, I was like, man, this just really feels like what it felt like being in New York.
Well, yeah, he had, like, they humanize it just by, like, he visits, like you just said, this one sandwich shop, but they just humanize it by being like, oh, it's like this... I don't know, what nationality would you call it? Like,
he was Italian.
He was Italian? Okay.
Yeah, they said he was Italian.
But it's like this just Italian New Yorker who just owns like a Subway shop that claims they're the best subs in fucking New York, and it's like, that's just like... And it's not like, oh, we're gonna make a whole thing about it. It's just like, Spider-Man just goes there to get sandwiches, and he likes the place. There's a cat there.
I want to say I really missed that, because they have some stuff like that in the Sam Raimi films, but in the Andrew Garfield films, there was nothing have anything like that.
It doesn't even feel like New York, honestly. Yeah,
it feels like we're in fucking Gotham City. But I did really...
Anything going on in the chat? I've kind of been looking more at my notes in the chat.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Rose said we did have a monthly newsreel in video format. Holland's movies really got American high school accurate. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, also, side note, Flash calls Peter Penis Parker, and it's really funny. It makes me laugh every single time I hear it. It really does. I know it's the dumbest joke and the most obvious joke someone could possibly make, but it makes me laugh every single time.
Well, it's like, I like it because that is something that a high schooler would say over and over
exactly, but the part that makes me laugh the most about it is there's a bit where there's a party later, and of course Flash is the fucking DJ. But Peter leaves, and he calls Ned, who's still at the party, and he asks how it goes. And Ned just holds up to the phone of Flash at the DJ booth, and he just is going, when I say penis, you say Parker, penis.
Yeah.
Say it.
Parker.
Yeah.
But no, it just makes sense to me, because even, like, with our friends, like... We just call Chris Piss.
Yeah, like we called our friends stupid shit like that too.
Yeah.
But we get, like we said, we get that montage.
Also, I want to note here in the school stuff, we have two important things. There's the thing in this movie where we see, and you're not supposed to know this at first because you're not supposed to know Zendaya's MJ, but that MJ.
Oh yeah, they constantly call her Michelle because. I guess we're spoiling it now, but the fact that she's Mary Jane is not revealed until the very end of the movie.
Yeah, the very end.
They keep referring to her as Michelle.
Yeah. But we get this thing where we see that Mary Jane likes Peter first.
Yeah, it's very obvious. It's very even the first scene you see with her, she clearly likes Peter.
Yeah, which is different from the other ones because we get the perspective where we see Peter liking
Mary Jane,
the love interest.
Yeah.
But also the other thing I wanted to know.
Jesus, Davey, holy,
honey.
that's Davey in the background if you hear him.
The other thing I wanted to know is like we first get the plot point where Peter wants to move away from high school and he says it's dumb because he wants to pursue like being Spider-Man.
Well, no, he wants to be an Avenger. It's not even being
yeah.
Spider-Man. He wants to be an Avenger.
Yeah.
Because I mean, kind of Tony Stark doesn't necessarily, but kind of promises him like when he left the whole Civil War bit that there would be more.
Yeah, he kind of suggests it.
Yeah, that there would be more work for him towards becoming an Avenger or whatever.
Yeah, but Rose said with the penis Parker thing, it's the exact joke a high schooler would make, saying this as someone who was in high school last year. And then said, Ned, my man. Yes, Ned is awesome.
Ned is awesome. Ned is literally the heart and soul of this movie. I wrote down that I think that Ned is purposefully supposed to kind of represent, like, us as the viewer. In the sense that he just fanboys about everything Spider-Man does.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I guess we can just go right into it because
Aren't you so glad he's not Harry?
he's better in every single way. The relationship in this movie between Peter and Ned is actually, like, really nice, and I like it a whole lot.
Like the thing where they want to build the Death Star.
Well, yeah, there's like a little thing where they want to build a Death Star, and then fucking Ned breaks it because he comes to Peter's house and accidentally figures out that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And that leads into this whole next montage scene where just Ned asks like 1,000,001 questions, being like, "Can you spit venom?
Do you lay eggs?
Yeah, do you lay eggs?" And it's just like, that's really, I like that a lot because, like I was saying, Ned's kind of the viewer. And I like that they kind of explore that, like, yes, someone in this universe would ask questions like this. Not just like, oh, you're Spider-Man? Cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he finds out within, like, the first 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, well, no, I'm kind of glad he does, though.
Yeah.
Because they do set him up as being this movie's guy in the chair. And I, like, their relationship works so well that it just makes sense for Ned to be like Peter Parker's guy in the chair or whatever.
And
also
we get Hannibal.
Oh, Hannibal Buress as their gym coach for no reason. Yeah, he's only in it to be Hannibal Buress and call Captain America a war criminal.
Yeah, he's like, pretty sure this guy's a war criminal now, but we still gotta watch this mandatory video.
Yeah, they like it's funny because they use Captain America as like he has like these high school videos for like every high school, and it's like, of course they would. If Captain America was real, that's what they would totally do, though.
Yeah. Rose said, though, plus you just said Spidey was being so obvious about it, so I mean it makes sense.
Well, I know what happens is Ned tells Peter the day before that he's gonna go to his house because they want to build the Death Star or whatever, and Peter's not paying attention because he notices his crush, who we haven't even mentioned, Liz, who's not, his crush isn't even MJ in this movie, it's a girl named Liz. But he goes to his house, and Peter, like, sneaks into his own house because he's, like, late.
Yeah.
But that's, like, the joke or whatever.
That's one of my only problems is, like, so he is so obvious, and sometimes the movie takes that seriously and people figure it out, like Ned.
Well, but like he didn't even figure out because he was obvious. He just forgot that Ned was going to be there.
Well, yeah, but to me that's just like a totally him being careless and being obvious, and he does that again later.
Yeah, no, true, but I mean, I guess at least like he's careless with only the people he cares about. You know what I mean?
He's only careless with the people he cares about. No, he's so obvious all the fucking time.
Yeah, but he only gets caught by the people he cares about now, doesn't he?
But that's where the movie takes it seriously, and then the movie plays it off as a joke with everyone else, and is just like,
well, I guess
no.
Think about it this way. I think the idea is supposed to be that no one else gives a shit about Peter Parker. No one at that school gives a fuck about Peter Parker to pay attention. Like, even when he's at the shop class, like we were talking about later on in the movie, like, the joke is that the shop class teacher just does not pay attention. at all.
I know.
And I think the point is that the only people that really kind of notice in Peter's life that he's Spider-Man is the people who actually care about him.
I just don't really buy that with how obvious.
No, I know, but I like there's got obviously like there has to be an explanation for it for the movie.
There is an explanation. I just don't like it.
I know, but
because he literally like fucking triggers like an explosion in the shop glass.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. There's a small explosion, and they said radiation came off of it later.
No, you're thinking of a different part in the movie.
No, I'm not. I'm the shop glass where they hit that thing.
Yeah, it just makes a ding.
No, it makes a little explosion, and they come by with the radar later, and they're like, "Oh,
no, okay." Anyway, we are way too ahead.
No, you fucker! It's a tiny explosion.
Can we please
no.
get there when we get there?
Okay, so like in the next scene.
They do not get the purple thingy in the next scene.
No, I know.
We skipped over the part where Spidey has his first fight scene in the bank or whatever, with the criminals, that Vulture controls or whatever, where they're robbing a bank.
No, he doesn't control them. They bought weapons from his shop.
Oh, were they not the guy, like, part of his chop shop crew as well?
No, they're not. They're just guys who bought weapons off of him.
Oh, I guess the movie doesn't really. I know that they're supposed to be weapons dealers. I just never put that together, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they're people. So, people that bought weapons from the Vulture, which is like this fucking like anti-gravity portal gun, or like this fucking Half-Life anti-gravity gun. It literally just looks like if you've seen the Half-Life gravity gun, you know exactly what it fucking looks like. It looks exactly like that. And I'm not even being facetious. It very oddly does. And it does the exact same thing because it holds Spider-Man in like midair and stuff. But we get a really cool action scene. We already talked about it, where he fights people at a bank that are dressed like the Avengers, and it's a nice, cool action scene that Akash and I both really, really like. Oh yeah, so after this, Spider-Man starts doing some more reconnaissance, and he leads it to, I can't remember how he specifically, well, I guess we start with the party, right? He gets invited to the party.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the party a bit?
It's just really...
Because you really liked because you were comparing it to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, the decisions that Tom Holland makes, and I didn't know if you wanted to... Yeah,
so he's invited to this party only because Ned said in gym class that
he knows Spider-Man.
He knows Spider-Man, and so they were like, Flash was like, okay, bring Spider-Man to Liz's party.
Because, and you said that's stupid, but I defended it being like, if I was in high school and someone was like, Ozzy Osbourne's my uncle, and I'm like having a big party or whatever, I'd be like, okay, if he's your uncle and he's like, and you can just talk to him whenever, maybe have him come to this fucking party, then prove it. You know what I mean?
My problem with it is, okay, I don't care about Flash because obviously Flash is being antagonistic and doesn't think he actually knows Spider-Man. My problem is the reaction of everyone else, where Peter specifically says, he says something like, I've like said hi to him a few times at the internship, and everybody's like, so that means you can bring him to the party then. It's like, that is not what that means.
Yeah, I forgot that Peter Parker uses his he claims that he has a Stark internship, and that's how they get away with him being like Spider-Man. That's his like excuse for why he leaves all the time suddenly and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he goes to the party with Ned, and Ned wears a cute little fedora hat.
Yep.
Which I like a lot. Flash is so annoying. He's funny. Yes, he is, Rose. I completely agree. I love Flash a lot. I like his character quite a bit. Internship cover is kind of clever. Oh no, it's definitely very clever. Davey.
And the beauty of it is that it's a half truth.
It is a half truth.
Yeah. But I wanted to say about this party. So what happens is the plan is that Peter is
Shows up with Ned.
Yeah, shows up with Ned, is gonna pull that whole, like, stupid sitcom plot where it's like, oh, he's gonna leave, Spider-Man's gonna show up and say hi, and
which is stupid,
Yeah,
I was making fun of the whole time.
But they don't do that.
Yeah, thankfully they don't do it. They subvert expectations or whatever.
Yeah, what happens instead is, sorry for all the shuffling and stuff, Davey is fucking getting in the window.
Well, and now we gotta pet Davey, even though I just had to fucking remove him from where he's not supposed to be.
But what happens is he sees something suspicious going on in the distance past Liz's house. And this is like one of his many opportunities to hang out with Liz because it's suggested that Liz likes him back. But instead...
Oh no, Liz definitely likes him back.
Yes. But instead, I love this because what he does instead is he goes and investigates this disturbance.
Yeah, it's like a huge
Spider-Man.
fucking explosion that happens in the distance or whatever of like energy.
Yeah, and my problem with the Andrew Garfield movies is that sometimes he just does like stupid, mean shit.
You were saying that you totally think he would have gone into the party?
Yeah, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, he would have just gone into the party and ignored the explosion, but this Spider-Man goes and investigates it despite wanting to really go to this party really badly.
Yeah, so, we then meet, Shocker...
Oh, hold on, let me get that, Pet Davey redemption.
Okay, you're gonna pet Davey while I talk about this?
Let's get that boy.
Okay, but we meet Shocker 1, Shocker 2, and Donald Glover. / Aaron Davis. The reason I call him Shocker 1 and Shocker 2 is because one of them fucking gets killed after this first scene, so it doesn't really matter.
I'm petting him.
Yeah, he's
crazy.
He's kind of a little rambunctious this morning. I don't think he really wants to be held down. Yeah, no, he
bit me.
He got like 5 seconds of pets and he was over it. So I guess that's about it for him. But no, we meet the Shocker 1 and 2, and they're doing an arms deal with Donald Glover, who's just trying to buy a gun so that he can hold somebody up, and that's the actual bit that they talk about in the movie. And it's like a bit where he's like, man, I don't want... He makes a joke where he's like, I just want to hold someone up. I don't want to send them back in time. I thought that was pretty funny. But I wanted to point out, and I was talking about it with Akash, what a weirdly, like, I know, like, arms deals and stuff are, like, a common thing in, like, superhero stuff. Like, oh, he's an arms dealer. He gives illegal weapons. Just having a scene, though, where, like, an African youth is in a shitty, like, suburban neighborhood and needs a gun to keep himself safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole...
Well, actually, it's a really nice suburban neighborhood. Remember the running shots they do through the neighborhood?
That's not the neighborhood that he lives in.
Oh, well, I thought you were talking about where they're doing the arms deal.
No, the joke that Aaron Davis does not live in a nice neighborhood and needs a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No, the scene where Spider-Man's fucking running through neighborhoods trying to get to this arms deal is, I think, a different neighborhood completely.
Yeah. Which is also a really funny scene.
Yeah, it is really funny because they compare it to Ferris Bueller, and it's like the only kind of Marvel movie reference that I'm kind of okay with because it makes a lot of sense, and it's only like a quick cutaway shot where it's like someone watching Ferris Bueller while Spider-Man's running through their backyard.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man beats the shit out of the Shockers. Kinda.
No, what happens is...
They beat the shit out of him, actually, don't they?
No. What happens is he takes the gun, because they're gonna shoot Donald Glover, because they think that he set them up to be caught by Spider-Man. But then Spider-Man goes, no, shoot at me, not at him, which is important a little bit for later.
Yeah, it is.
But then the Vulture grabs Peter.
Oh, no, you're right. What happens is the van escapes, Peter starts chasing it, and then in this fucking rad shot, the Vulture just shows up out of fucking nowhere and, like, swoops Peter up and just flies him into the air and drops him into a lake. and that's it. Like, that's the first introductory scene we get to. Like, it's so fucking good. He just appears and leaves as quick as he does. Peter then goes home.
After an Iron Man bot saves him.
Oh yeah, Iron Man bot comes to save him and chews him out. And tells him to leave the arms deal stuff alone. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because it's kind of important. It's kind of super important later, actually.
And then
anything else you want to say about Iron Man bot?
No.
The reason we're calling it Iron Man bot, by the way, is because Tony Stark's not actually in the suit in this scene because he's in like India doing who fucking knows what.
Yeah, who the fuck knows?
But yeah, so he can't actually be there, but he just chews Peter out and is like, hey, listen, just leave this to the professionals or whatever. Don't look any more into this. Just listen to me, please.
And then,
oh my god, it's Robert Downey Jr. It says Rose. Yeah, it is Robert Downey Jr., exactly.
and then Michael Keaton hits the Shocker with the cancer ray.
Oh, yeah. So, just to... Because we already obviously mentioned Shocker 1 and Shocker 2, but Shocker 1 gets fucking killed by Michael Keaton because... I think this scene is really fucking stupid because it just makes no sense to me. So what happens...
Davey.
Is that... Oh my god, what is his problem today?
I'm sorry, guys, if it sounds like there's a
war going on here, it's because Davey is screaming and running everywhere.
Like there's a creepypasta running
Holy
around our house.
shit, what the fuck? I haven't seen him be this rambunctious in a hot minute. Okay,
But you were talking about...
What was I talking?
The Michael Keaton scene where he kills...
Oh, yeah, it's stupid to me because, okay, these guys have been, like, in this chop shop group together for 8 years, right? They're supposed to be, like, this, like...
tight crew.
Tight crew. This, like, fucking the Avengers of taking fucking alien pieces, right?
Yeah.
You've got, no, seriously, because you do have, like, the tech guy. There's one guy who sits at a chair and does, like, the tech stuff for them. There's the Muscle, which is supposed to be, like, the first Shocker or whatever. There's, like, the right-hand man, which is the second Shocker. And then there's the Vulture, who does, like, the heavy lifting stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they are their own group or whatever. And they've been working on this for 8 years, but it's the second Spider-Man shows up. Fair enough. Shocker number 1 wants to leave. But how does he want to leave or does he get what happened? The Vulture chews him out because he uses the Shocker gloves.
Yeah.
And he's basically telling him he needs to keep a lower profile because he like Vulture makes a good point where he's like, listen, we've been doing this for 8 years and none of the Avengers have ever...
because they shot one of their illegal weapons at the site, and that's how Spider-Man saw that something was going on.
Yeah, and they're being too flashy about it or whatever.
Yeah.
And Shocker 1's like, fuck you, whatever, I quit. But then he threatens him.
Yeah.
As he's leaving, being like, man, wouldn't it be such a shame if your wife found out where all your money came from? And I was literally, Akashta can attest to this, I was sitting there like, pogging at how stupid this fucking scene is.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, why would you say that? Why would you ever say that to someone? Why?
Yeah.
Like, especially someone who works in crime with you. And I guess, like, this is supposed to be the first bit where Michael Keaton kills someone or whatever, but he does it accidentally, and then he doesn't care.
He doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit, and it's like, I don't know. To me, it's just stupid because if I was the Shocker 1, if I really, really wanted to do something about it, I would have just not said anything and then gone to his wife. I don't know why the fuck this stupid bitch has to say anything.
Yeah.
Because it just gets him killed.
Russ said a creepypasta. I haven't heard that name in years. Yeah, write in the comments which creepypasta Davey is.
All of them.
Yep. No, don't do that.
But where are we now?
This is where Spider-Man got the little fucking pink glowy alien shit, and he's in shop class.
Oh yeah, so after this first interaction, I mean, we're gonna just reveal right now that it's a bomb.
Yeah,
because it's a bomb.
It's an alien bomb.
Yeah, so they dropped an alien bomb during the confrontation, and Spider-Man picked it up, and now he and Ned have been investigating it, not knowing it's a bomb, but trying to figure out what the fuck it is or whatever. Excuse me, sorry. I'm still a little sick.
You had a problem with this scene though, where the Vulture goons show up in the school.
Oh, okay. No. So here's what I was saying about the shop class. So this is the thing that they bring into the shop class. I don't think when they hit it, it releases radiation. I think the idea is just that tracker follows it no matter what.
Well, no, when they go over the explosion, they said, oh, there was like a radioactive explosion here.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was saying.
Okay. Yeah, okay. But yeah, Peter and Ned are at school talking about this bomb, and they still don't know it's a bomb or whatever, because we're not supposed to figure that out until like 30 more minutes later. But they have it, and then all of a sudden they look down their school hallway, and Shocker 2 and one of the other just goons,
one of the Vulture goons,
are just in the school looking around for the alien bomb, because they have like a tracker that shows that this is like the last place that it was at. One, how did they get into this school? What family do they have that goes to this school?
Where they would be let in.
Where they would be let in.
Also, they're strapped.
No, they have guns. They go and investigate it. Peter shows up, and one of them pulls out a gun. Like, and it's not like the gun's hidden. It is on his fucking hip. Yeah. These motherfuckers just waltz into the school, strapped. And it happens again later. Not that, like, villains break in, but Happy just randomly waltzes into the school at one point to talk to Peter.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? Why are adults just walking into this random-ass school?
They wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, with guns, too. Is it an American school? It is an American school, yes. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like... Yeah, it's so fucking weird.
Yeah, Rose is so right. They couldn't get into the school, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's an American school, too, so...
Also... So she said Davy's the rake.
I don't know what the rake is, so... But yeah, they show up. And the only reason really this scene matters is that so Spider-Man can shoot a little spider tracker onto them, right?
Yeah, and so he can go to the decathlon
in
Maryland.
So basically he follows the little tracker to Maryland, and he's like, oh shit, Maryland's fucking far away, how the fuck am I gonna get to Maryland? Little plot point that we didn't mention is that he's part of the debate team or whatever. Or not
the decathlon team.
The decathlon team. And they have a national coming up in Washington, D.C. that he rejected because he's kind of taken himself out of school extracurricular stuff because he's afraid that if he focuses too much on school, he's going to miss his chance to become an Avenger.
Yeah.
But he decides that he's going to go... just because he needs to follow these people or whatever. Anything about him going to Maryland that needs to be mentioned, really?
Not really. I think just the big set piece.
Yeah, so he leaves the hotel that they're in and follows them to... Oh, well, actually, no, it does matter because in the
gas station.
No, not in the gas station. In the hotel room, they hacked the spider suit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Spider-Man realizes that Tony Stark gave him what they call, like, the training wheels program, or whatever, which is supposed to be, like, Peter learning all of his new spider suit's gadgets and shit over time, or whatever. But they hack it so that he just has every single spider suit power.
And so he can't be tracked anymore.
Yeah, and he also now can't be tracked by Tony Stark, which was how they found him earlier when he got thrown into the lake or whatever.
Yeah, so he follows the villains to, like, this gas station.
Yeah, and then we get a really good comparative scene where Spider-Man has, like, to figure out how his spider suit works. And the Shocker has to learn how his Shocker gauntlet works because he's never used it before as well. Shocker 2.
So they're both fucking with their stupid
it's mostly just a scene where they're both like fucking with their stuff and they don't notice each other. Well, I mean, Spider-Man knows where they are, but they don't know where Spider-Man is because he's too busy fucking with his stuff.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's anything.
But this, I don't know. This was like, this part is like the most boring part of the movie to me.
What, where he fights the Vulture again?
No. The Vulture fight is fine, but the part where he gets stuck in the truck.
Well, yeah, I guess let's say just he figures out that this whole thing is a Vulture attack. And the Vulture at the same time as watching the van is robbing a truck.
Mm-hmm.
So Spider-Man then goes to fight the Vulture.
Fails miserably.
Gets locked into the truck that he was like, that the Vulture was robbing or whatever, and then gets stuck in the damage control.
Like a containment unit.
Yeah, that they use in this universe to put all the alien artifacts into one big room or whatever.
Yeah.
I agree with you that this definitely is like the weakest part where he's like stuck.
And it's just like they do it so he can just talk with his suit and stuff.
Well, it's also so we can have like, you know, this. It's so that like when we do meet the character of this Spider-Man's Jarvis, it isn't just like, oh, another AI. I guess it's to give the AI like character.
Yeah, I thought it was boring though.
It is definitely boring. I agree with you. But we get Spider-Man's AI, which is called Karen, which is fucking weird to think about now. But he gets out. He figures out during this time that the
alien thing is a bomb.
Yeah, he figures out that it's a bomb and that he needs to leave now because Ned has it in his backpack still.
Yeah, and he needs to go
stop it because he doesn't want it to go through an X-ray, which obviously it does because they want to go visit the Washington Monument or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's basically Spider-Man racing to the Washington Monument because a bomb that's in Ned's backpack has now been activated without anyone really noticing.
And I wanted to say here too, I feel on one hand like this scene is filler and a little bit of setup for something at the end. On the other hand though, I thought it was really cool because I've been to the Washington Monument before and I was like, this is actually fucking scary. Like remembering being in that little elevator and stuff.
Oh yeah, because they get like locked in the elevator and then it just starts like fucking falling apart around them and stuff. And it is kind of like very claustrophobic and scary.
Yeah, and it's like...
so they bring up security accuracy now? Wait, yeah, when they were talking... Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
Rose.
But it's just like, I saw the little room at the top where you look down the low windows where you can see all of Washington, D.C. I was like, oh, I was right there. I was sitting in the spot that MJ's sitting right now. It was really fun.
Yeah. But no, we get a really good scene where Spider-Man has to break into the Washington Monument and save his friends. In a really good... It's just a good scene. Anything specific that you want to talk about with it?
Really, it's just like, I love, like, how they take advantage of, like, the falling stuff they always do with Spider-Man, like, where he has to shoot his webs to...
Well, that's what I was saying. I was just like, there's another instance in this movie that happens in literally, like, every Spider-Man movie where he's trying to grab someone and he can't grab them in time or whatever, so they fall. And then he just shoots their hands with his web shooter. Yeah. And it's like, I like that that's never an issue for Spider-Man, really.
Yeah.
I mean, and the only reason it's ever an issue in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 where Gwen dies is because they make it that he cannot shoot his web fast enough to save her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So...
But the important part of this scene is that Liz is also on the decathlon team and he saves her at the last second as the elevator falls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he saves the whole decathlon team.
Yeah, he saves them all, but, like, it's the thing where she's the last one in the elevator. And,
yeah. Well, him saving her is important.
Mm-hmm.
what do we? So he saves Washington, and that's where I stopped taking notes. So that's kind of this is kind of on you. What?
Rose is like, that's not how physics works. Shut up, Rose. It's a funny, cool movie. Shut up.
Yeah, listen, you're arguing with a movie about a man who does flips in the air while swinging through the fucking city. I don't know what you want from me here. Spider-Man literally fucking jumps into a ceiling and gives himself a mild concussion. Like, I don't...
And he never goes to the hospital.
Well, no, because he heals himself. I mean...
But come on.
All right, but yeah, I'll watch the chat more. You'll have to be more of the note person. I know where we're kind of at, but...
All right, so after this, they go back to New York, and what happens is... Spider-Man goes to interrogate Donald Glover.
Oh yeah, well, in the meantime, this is kind of also the head where Peter's just kind of like, fuck school. Because now he's like in permanent detention because he got in trouble for
leaving the decathlon.
Yeah, because he didn't even make it to the decathlon. Oh, by the way, they won, I guess, if that even matters.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
But yeah, Spider-Man gets like perma detention for like the rest of the year for skipping out.
Yeah.
And he's basically like, oh, I don't need this. Fuck high school. I'm just gonna be an Avenger.
Yeah. He doesn't give a shit. He goes to talk to Donald Glover.
Yeah. He activates interrogation mode where his voice is really deep and it's stupid. But we get a really cool scene between him and Donald Glover. Donald Glover is meant to be playing Aaron Davis, which, if you don't know who Aaron Davis is meant to be the uncle of Miles Morales, and they even make a reference to him having a nephew, which is supposed to be hint that Miles Morales is in the MCU, so that's cool.
Yeah. They also make a thing where Donald Glover says that he wants to help Spider-Man because he doesn't want the crazy alien tech weapons in his neighborhood. And I was like, he's fine. He's like fine with regular guns, but just not the crazy alien tech.
Yeah, it's a little muddled in the messaging, but you know what they're trying to get at the end of the day.
Yeah. So he helps them and he tells them about the guys who like peddle.
Yeah, he says that there's another deal going on a ferry with some guys that he used to work with or whatever. So Spider-Man's like, thank you, and he leaves or whatever.
Yeah. And then this is where the ferry scene starts.
Yeah, this is probably... Is this the most famous scene in this movie? I don't know. I'd say it is just because the trailers showcased it a lot.
Yeah, they did. I would say, though, like... it's not as good as like the last action set.
No, but I'd say it's the most famous scene though.
Yeah.
But he goes to the ferry, and there is in fact another arms deal going on the ferry. But something feels a little odd about this. It's just going a little bit too perfectly. Everybody's there that's on his team, and it's going swimmingly except for Spider-Man showing up there. Something definitely feels a little odd. So Spider-Man finds them or whatever, and he interrupts the deal.
Starts to beat them up.
And starts to beat them all up. To which...
FBI agents pop out.
FBI agents show up and try to arrest Spider-Man.
No, they don't try
Well,
to
no,
arrest
I know. But, like, I'm joking.
Oh.
No, they show up, and it's revealed, has been looking into the Vulture crew for a bit now, and that they were going to arrest them all.
It was a sting operation.
Yeah, it was a sting operation that would have worked if Spider-Man hadn't showed up.
Yeah. And we get this really cool shot where, like, you see the Vulture wings start to burst
Oh, yeah,
out of the van.
well, no, what's cool about this scene is, Adrian notices Spider-Man, like, beating up all the people in like,
On the ferry.
On the ferry. And he instantly starts, like, activating the Vulture wings, and they just bust out of a fucking van or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, attach themselves. It's really fucking cool. Because they kind of work like the Green Goblin glider in the first Spider-Man movie, how he can just, like, call it or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, he escapes.
Tooms, you mean?
Yeah, Vulture escapes. But not before one of the weapons malfunctions and completely cuts the ferry in half.
Yeah.
To which Spider-Man then now has to go. He goes through like a really well CGI'd bit where he's like web slinging and throwing like web bombs and all this crazy fucking web shit to like just hold this boat together.
Yeah.
Great CGI bit.
It looks really great.
It looks fucking impeccable.
And even I am just so picky. Sometimes I even fucking nitpick like this Marvel CGI, even though it's like, you know, top of the line stuff. But no, this looks good. It just looks really good.
Yeah, there's barely any moments of CGI in this movie. I'd say the most is like sometimes the spider suits, I guess.
No, I think the CGI gets weird in scenes literally where Spider-Man is doing less, like where he's just standing on a roof.
That's what I'm saying, because they CGI him just doing nothing,
and it looks really weird.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I wish it was just like when Spider-Man's stationary, he was just Spider-Man.
Yeah, he just literally Tom Holland.
Yeah, in a spider suit or whatever.
Yeah, it's really weird though. Sometimes it looks weird when he's running, and I'm like, why didn't they just have him run?
Yeah. But no, he you know, he tries to save the boat and he fucking fails. Everybody on the boat's gonna fucking die until Iron Man shows up and saves the day and reconnects the boat.
And then Spider-Man gets fucking knocked down a peg by everyone.
Yeah, basically. So Iron Man basically shits on him again, even though this is like the only time in movies where it's like a father-son argument where I kind of only agree with the father figure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like Tony Stark is like, I told you to leave it alone. And I know, and yes, he was cryptic about it, but he does tell Peter he was the only one that listened to him, and that he was the one who got the FBI involved, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Peter really did fuck up, huh?
Yeah. Man, got me agreeing with Iron Man for once in all of these movies.
Yeah, seriously. No, but basically this culminates in Iron Man takes away the new spider suit. Because, I mean, I don't know, even Spider-Man himself kind of points out that he doesn't deserve it, because he says, I'm nothing without this suit, and it's like, really, dude? I don't know, you were doing pretty fine without it before, and I mean, the whole point of the movie now is that he doesn't have the suit, and he has to prove to himself that he can do it without the suit.
Yeah, I do like the message of this movie where, so the conflict in a lot of the other Spider-Man movies we were talking about is that, like, Peter has to balance being a normal guy with being Spider-Man, and he just wants to go and have fun and, like, have relationships. In this movie, though, it's that he's prioritizing being Spider-Man over personal relationships, and the point of the movie is that personal relationships and, like, participating in, like, school and stuff actually enriches his life, and it makes him like a better Spider-Man because he's connecting with people personally.
Yeah.
And I really liked that twist on it, where it's like he's not trying to live a normal life like the other Spider-Men. He's trying to be like an epic Avenger.
Well, yeah, he's trying to be an Avenger.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the whole message of this movie, is that he needs to stay grounded. He needs to be the
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, as they say.
Yeah, not everybody needs to be an Avenger or whatever, which kind of becomes muddled because he becomes an Avenger later on, but whatever. Later on movies that we're not even going to review right now.
But yeah, we kind of just get like a montage of him doing
normalcy stuff. He's in detention or whatever still.
Aunt May chews him out.
Aunt May shits on him because he fucking escapes all the time, but
and then we get to the fucking the finale of this movie is amazing.
Yeah, the finale is like 30 minutes long, and all of it is fucking enticing
So
and enriching and probably some of the best fucking movie bits. Like, if anything, if I could sell this movie, it's the last 30 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man, you know, goes through his montage of being through school and stuff, and it ends with him and Liz talking. And he realizes that Liz likes him, and he asks her to homecoming or whatever, and then she says yes. So now they're going to homecoming together, which is the culmination of where this whole movie is leading to.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, it gives me chills just even thinking about this whole bit. So he goes to pick her up for homecoming, and who's at the door, Akasha?
Vulture? Michael Keaton?
Yeah, Adrian Toomes is Liz's dad the whole movie. And it's really funny because Akash and I were pointing out that there is a throwaway line he makes where he says, like we were saying, at the very beginning of the movie, he says, you can't do this, I got a family, what am I gonna do? And he doesn't mention them very much other than that. But it's like, the reason, and Akash and I were like, that would just be a throwaway line just to humanize him. But the reason they don't mention it is so that this reveal can be even more fucking shocking that he is the dad of the crush of Spider-Man.
I want to say, too, with the atmosphere, what happens is in the previous scene before, like when he's talking with Liz and getting ready for homecoming and stuff, there's really light, lovely music
playing. Yeah,
playing.
there's like Aunt May showing him how to dance. They're watching like YouTube videos on how to tie a tie together.
Yeah, and there's just this nice light music playing, and everything is like, it's homecoming, so it's like dark out, but like it's highlighted with everyone's like bright colors and stuff. And then we get this thing where, like, he sees that it's Michael Keaton at the door, and the music just fucking stops.
Yeah, everything becomes like this becomes like the Amazing Spider-Man 1 where it becomes like the grayest. It doesn't actually become a gray movie.
It just becomes darker.
Yeah, it becomes a lot darker and serious, and it's just like, Michael Keaton is really good in this whole movie, but holy shit, this is like the best bit with him.
Yeah, and instead of using like the color highlights to make it really pop and bubbly, like, oh, it's a really fun time, the color highlights they use after this are ominous.
Yeah, well, I just want to, so, we get bits where like, oh, Spider-Man knows he's Vulture, but Vulture doesn't know he's him, right? Obviously.
Yeah, doesn't know Peter's Spider-Man.
So it's just Peter being really awkward in their house, and the Vulture just like trying to talk to him, being like a fun dad or whatever. The whole time he's just like waving around a fucking knife and stuff like that, being like, he's like pointing at his own skin and being like, with the knife being like, Peter, you look a little pale, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's really funny, stupid shit like that.
He's so scary, though, too, while it's happening.
But yeah, he's the chauffeur. Well, it's like it's unintentionally, you know what I mean? Because he is this terrifying force that no one else besides Peter knows about now.
And fucking Liz.
Oh, yeah.
Liz is the one who ruins everything.
Yeah, so it's revealed that he's the chauffeur, so he's taking them to homecoming or whatever. And during the drive or whatever, Liz slowly, like, drip feeds bits. She basically feeds him the whole fucking pie by being like, yeah, Peter, like, just disappears constantly. And he even, like, disappeared during that one bit where Spider-Man saved my life. It was really weird. And obviously, Vulture being, I guess, the only smart person in this movie, puts two and two together, and he's like, oh, Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In a really, really clever way, they use lighting is they're at like a traffic light, and as Michael Keaton's like puzzling it together, the light of the red traffic light is like illuminating over his face. And then the second I sat here sitting with Akasha, I was like, that light better turn green the second he figures it out.
Yeah.
And it does. Of course it does.
And it just highlights his face.
Yeah, in green, and he says, good old Spider-Man.
Yeah, he smiles and he goes, good old Spider-Man.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my fucking god, it makes me cream my fucking pants. It's so good. It's so fucking good.
I can't believe Liz fucking exposed him like.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, it's like it's throwaway lines that no one else really notices, though, in that universe. Like, oh, Peter Parker just kind of disappears and no one really cares.
Yeah.
But yeah, they show up at homecoming. Liz gets out of the car, and the Vulture tells Liz that he's gonna give Peter the dad talk, but instead he just waves a gun in his face and tells him to fucking leave him alone. And he says that he would kill him, but he won't because he saved Liz's life, and he thinks that's important.
Yes.
Which, fair enough. That's respectful of a villain to do.
Because he says family is the most important thing, so he...
Well, and to him, that is true, because, like, he is doing this for his family, like, this whole underground... Like, the thing is, like, he never really does seem to be doing it for money.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he is doing it for money, but
to make his family comfortable.
Yeah, to be able to take care of his family. It's never like that's the thing about him, is he's not really that evil. He's just kind of
ominous.
No, he's just kind of misinfortuned and has to make really evil decisions.
Yeah.
In this universe that would care about him, wouldn't care about him otherwise.
I have a question though.
Yeah?
That may be a little bit of a plot hole.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's no doubt that he knew whether Peter Parker was Spider-Man or not. He knew from Liz telling him that Spider-Man saved her life. So, no matter who Spider-Man was, would he have spared him then?
Yes.
Alright.
Yes. Because it's not even the thing of him being Peter Parker, it's that he's Spider-Man that saves him.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? And the conversation wouldn't even be had if he wasn't also Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It just happens to be coincidence that they're going to Homecoming, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's so much of a plot hole as it is, like I was just saying, coincidence of the plot storytelling.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, if he was just Spider-Man and not Peter Parker or whatever, then I feel like he would have still left him. Either way. Spider-Man runs into the school, tells Liz he's got to fuck off from their date or whatever. Because he's got to go hunt down the Vulture, because instantly, there's not even a bit where he, like, thinks about it. He just instantly is like, fuck that, I gotta go stop the Vulture.
Yeah.
Which is another props to the Spider-Man, because that is the decision he would make.
Yeah.
There is a bit where he's putting on his old suit, where he, like, obviously thinks about it, and he's like, oh, fuck, this is stupid, and I don't want to do this, but he does it anyway.
Bubby.
But then we get a fight scene with the Shocker 2, where Ned shows up to help Spider-Man.
Because his web shooter's flying
Yeah,
off.
because, sorry, haha, I got a little bit distracted. I'm back now. Well, welcome back, Rose. We're just at the last bits of the movie, talking about the end here. Ned saves Spider-Man by, like, because in the old web costume or whatever, the web shooters are not, like, connected very well, so he gets just, like, punched by the Shocker and his web slingers just go flying off.
Yeah.
But Ned shows up and saves him, and they, like, take down the Shocker 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And
then they set up the last set piece where the Vulture and his crew have been planning, like, a really big final heist.
The final heist, which is, throughout this entire movie, it's been, like...
alluded to.
Well, not alluded to. Told to us that the Avengers Tower, which is the thing, the Avengers Tower that's owned by Tony Stark is being cleared out because it's being sold to someone else. So they have to take all of, like, Tony's, like, really important, like, his Hulkbuster armor. I guess he's making, like, a magic belt for Thor or something. Crazy weird shit like that he's just making in his company that needs to be moved or whatever. So Happy, throughout the entirety of the movie, has been working on getting that stuff all taken care of. And it now ends with him shipping all of it off on a plane and him, you know, being like, fuck, that's over or whatever.
Yeah.
So the plane takes off with all of Tony Stark's stuff. And this is, like we said, this is, like, supposed to be, like, the big one. Because I guess if they get... The idea, I guess, in this movie is that if they get Tony Stark's tech, that will kind of be self-sustaining in that they can make, like, just a bunch more out of it. Mm-hmm. Versus where, like, with the Chitauri alien stuff they're using, they can only make certain things or whatever.
Yeah.
So the idea is that once they steal some of this, they're going to be set forever. Mm. So yeah, we just get the Vulture chasing down this big ship or whatever, and Spider-Man following closely behind. We get a really cool bit where the Vulture's like trying to steal shit on the ship. Anything that you want to...
You mean the plane?
Or on the plane, yeah, sorry.
Oh, you just skipped the part where they have the confrontation in, like, the warehouse first.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Peter Parker does show up. Yes, that is important, sorry. Yeah. Meanwhile, while the plane is taking off, Peter confronts the Vulture in his warehouse. Yeah, I guess that's the side effect of not having notes on that.
Yeah.
I did tell it out of order, but yeah. Do you want to talk about that bit then?
Yeah. So in this bit, it's basically like Vulture giving his like motivation speech, saying like, well, I was doing this for my family, and because like all these rich people like Tony Stark, they just, you know, like take from people like us, and so he was just trying to get ahead with his like arms dealer business.
Also, one of the problems I have is that Peter Parker points out that Adrian Toome is evil because he sells arms to people. I bet you any quick Google search in the MCU, you could look at what Iron Man was doing in the first Iron Man movie, where he was literally selling weapons to, like, I believe, like, the Taliban.
Well, and Toomes alludes to that.
Well, yeah, but he should just say it. I don't know why he alludes to it. He should just be like, hey, did you know your old friend fucking Iron Man fucking sold weapons to, like, Iraq or whatever? And that he does in that movie? You know what I mean? It's like... it is a really weird point that Peter is like, you're evil because you do this, and then like you said, he does like be like, oh well, Iron Man's not that good either, but he doesn't just say, oh well, did you know in 2008 Iron Man was trapped in a cave because he was caught by the fucking people in the Middle East because he was selling weapons to them, and they imprisoned them to make the ultimate fucking weapon. You know what I mean? Like that. It's his origin story. It's literally his origin story is that he gets kidnapped by people in the Middle East to make the ultimate weapon because he was already making them weapons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of... It makes no sense to me, but whatever. I get it that it's also supposed to be like 15 years have passed within that time frame or whatever, so it's like, oh, we're not... I guess not... to dwell because Iron Man has saved the universe like fucking 4 times at this point anyway as well.
And this is the thing I was talking about. I was like, why
Hold on, Iron Man is delivering arms to terrorist groups where he was literally kidnapped during an armed conflict. Well, that's the point, Rose, is that in the first Iron Man film, he's selling the weapons and then he gets kidnapped because they want him to make like the Iron Man suit. They want him to make the ultimate weapon. That's the whole point of that thing or whatever.
A
Vulture basically...
I was going to say, though, before you go on, it just really irks me that Peter Parker doesn't care about that at all, or doesn't
it is very...
check up on that, or...
Yeah, it is a little odd, and that is a fault on the movie that Peter Parker doesn't, like you said, question Tony Stark at any point during this movie. You know what I mean?
Like, you think that would affect him, but the only effect of that speech is just so we can get, like, some Vulture motivation.
Yeah,
and I mean, we are... nothing to Peter.
Yeah, because we as the audience already know what his motivation is.
Yeah.
But he calls upon the Vulture Suit and fucking destroys his
warehouse.
His warehouse and topples it on top of Spider-Man. And then we get the becoming a hero moment, basically, where Peter has to become, I don't know, like what is that scene, I guess, technically? What is he doing? What is he becoming in that scene?
It's just like...
Is he finally becoming Spider-Man? Is that the point?
I think it is, because there's the imagery with him looking in the puddle at the mask and his own face, and it's just like realizing that like he doesn't have to be an Avenger, like just coming to terms with that. It's like before he got chewed out and he was forced to not like have any higher aspirations and just go back to school and stuff. But with this, I think it's the point in the movie where he realizes like, yeah, I am the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and that's important because something big is happening in New York right now, and this is my neighborhood, and I have the strength to do this.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, I also take it that way, that it's supposed to be the moment where he kind of realizes, oh, he can be Spider-Man and Peter Parker at the same time.
Yeah, because you really liked that shot.
No, that shot is fucking brilliant, where he's like staring at the puddle and it's got his mask or whatever. And I just like it because no other movie has done a shot like that, and also it's his old mask, so it's not like it's kind of, I do like the symbolism of like the old suit being like what Spider-Man is, not the new suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They kind of try to make like a little bit of a point that like it's not, I guess it's supposed to be, it's not the suit that makes the Spider-Man, it's the Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Great power, great responsibility, all that shit, even though they don't say that at all in this movie.
And then
any of these movies.
And then he fucking uses all his strength to lift the rubble off.
And a very fucking emotional, it's a very good scene. It's very well acted by Tom Holland. It's got very triumphant music and all that shit.
Yeah.
Very good. Like it a lot.
And then we have the final. Yeah,
now he's chasing down the Vulture onto the ship finally.
Onto the plane.
Or the plane. I just keep calling it a ship.
Yeah, I just don't want people to think it's in the ocean. It's in the air.
Yeah,
it's in the air, people.
Sorry, it's a plane. I just call it a ship because it's an airship. I don't know. Because it's not technically a plane. It's like a weird.
It is a plane.
Is it? It's like a weird.
No, planes like that fly. It's just like a big cargo plane.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, obviously, like a plane like that doesn't exist.
Well, yeah, but there's planes in real life that look like that.
Yeah, airships is what Rose is saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But we have the cool shot where we go back to the Vulture and he's like sitting on a building in the suit, and
he's like perched like a vulture. Yeah,
he's perched like a vulture. It's like something Batman would do.
Well, which is funny because it's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Do you think being Batman prepared him for being the Vulture in any way?
Not from the movie he was in.
What do you mean?
I think the way they filmed that film is just insanely different, and the character is so different.
I guess just being in a superhero movie, I guess, is what maybe. I'm saying though.
But we have this thing where they have a couple new technologies that they made for the Vulture suit. One of which is so it can be high altitude, so they can track the plane.
Yeah.
And rob it. And the second one is this like vacuum seal that they have, where Michael Keaton lands on the bottom of the plane and then he puts the Vulture suit together really tightly and it vacuum seals on the bottom of the plane.
Yeah, so he can just like move into the plane. It's really cool.
It did look really cool.
No, but it prepared him for meeting James Bateman. Yeah, exactly. If you don't know who James Batman is, it's a character Rose and I made.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's our own OC. It's our collab OC, I guess.
But, yeah, Spider-Man is now following him.
Yeah, he's hooked a web to him and he's just, like, following him from the web or whatever.
Yeah.
In the air.
And I like this scene because I think it's unique in that, like, it's in the air. There's only so many things Spider-Man can grab onto with, like, webs and stuff. And so it really feels like a struggle because he's not, like...
Well, and that's what we were pointing out, that every one of these fights kind of feels like... Because with, like, the Washington Monument, the point is that he's so high up and there's nothing really he can do besides just go in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like some instance where he can, like, I don't know, wrap up the fucking... Washington Monument and then like everything be safe or something, you know what I mean? Where it's like they create specifically weird situations for Spider-Man in this movie that he has to adapt and overcome to.
And I just wanted to point that out because in the other Spider-Man movies reviewed, like all of the fight scenes have been in New York, like with all the buildings and stuff.
Yeah, I mean this one's technically still in New York, it's just above it.
Oh yeah, it's above New York. But yeah, they have it's really good CGI.
Yeah, they just there's nothing really to say. They fight in the air with the plane for a bit, and then
it begins to crash.
Yeah, the plane fucking goes down because they fucked with it too hard at some point.
Yeah, and it crashes on like the Long Island Beach boardwalk.
Yeah, but it also like crashes like with kind of both of them in it in a weird sense because like. Well, Spider-Man just kind of gets thrown in from the rubble, and so does Michael Keaton, which is fucked up because he's like 70, and it's weird. That's why I'm saying, like, he is even more terrifying because it's like he is fucking 70 years old in this fucking movie, and he's getting thrown around in a fucking plane explosion, and then he comes back, and he's just, like, fine.
And he wins this fight.
Yeah, he completely kicks Spider-Man's ass.
Yeah. The only reason he loses in the end is because he owns himself.
Yeah, because his suit got too fucked up during the final fight or whatever, and it blows up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another point of this movie, is that a caution I noticed is that Spider-Man doesn't really win any of his confrontations. The only thing he kind of does correctly is the Washington Monument bit.
Yeah.
And the fact that he stops Vulture in the end, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like, with the boat bit, he didn't save the day.
No.
You know, it's very odd that even with, like, this Vulture win, he does not, it was not a win. You know what I mean? The Vulture was gonna die, and he saves his life.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to point out, too, that that's one of the positives of, like, the Marvel inclusion, is because with the boat scene, the ferry, Spider-Man could lose earlier because there was someone who could come and save those people. And it's very interesting that Spider-Man can lose, and that can contribute to his character development. Because in other Spider-Man movies, if he loses,
a lot of people die.
A lot of people die, and there are dire consequences.
Yeah, it's like he becomes like, I don't know, like in Spider-Man 2, he quits being Spider-Man just because he thinks he's like hated and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So it definitely, that is one of the added things of the MCU that we were discussing.
Yeah.
That he can just fail.
But it's very interesting because this is one of the very, very, very few villains in the MCU who lives till the end of this movie and survives the movie.
Which I'm glad.
Yeah,
you know what? We didn't watch the post-credit scenes to this movie.
Oh, we didn't.
We went to bed because it was fucking 3 o'clock in the morning.
You're right.
I mean, the only thing that happens in the post-credit scene in this movie, I'm pretty sure, is just Michael Keaton being in jail.
Yeah, and he basically, isn't that the one where he's like, I'm not gonna tell anyone who Spider-Man is?
So basically, to wrap up that, is that the Vulture gets caught by Spider-Man and he goes to jail or whatever. Mm-hmm. And in the post-credit scene, he talks to someone...
Like another villain?
Like, another... I don't think it's another villain. I think... I don't know who it is. I think it's... I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters. But he's just asked, like, oh, do you know who the Spider-Man is? And he says no.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, very, very interesting. And I like that a whole lot because it's this weird, like, respect thing or whatever. But other than that...
he was talking to the guy who was going to be Scorpion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So maybe
Matt Gargan.
Oh, maybe that's going to be set up for his villain later then.
Yeah.
But Davey, leave the lights be.
Hey.
Davis,
get your claw.
Get off.
David.
Yeah, can you...
Honey.
Can you just take him down for right now?
I don't know if I can. Come here. Come here. Come here.
There we go. Okay.
That was a fucking struggle.
He is being a little bitch today, huh?
You gotta fix those lights.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Just, let's just try to get this... We're almost done here. Let's try to fucking finish it without him destroying everything. Yeah. But basically, the final scene of the movie is that Tony Stark invites Spider-Man to the new Avengers headquarters.
In upstate New York.
Yeah, so do you want to talk a little bit about this scene, I guess?
Yeah. So what happens is basically Tony Stark is just like, you've redeemed yourself. I'm basically your dad. I'm going to give you the suit back.
Yeah, and now I'm going to let you become a member of the Avengers. And you're going to go past this door, and there's going to be a bunch of reporters, and you're going to just say... I'm Spider-Man, I'm the newest member of the Avengers or whatever.
Yep.
Ow! Oh, is he fucking with you now?
Yes.
He's such a dick. Okay, let's just... Okay.
Okay, let's do this fast. Peter says no.
Yeah, Peter says no, which is like a really cool decision that he makes, I think. Because it really does show that he learned something. Mm-hmm. And then we get a funny joke where Pepper Potts shows up and she's like, I've got a room full of people, what am I supposed to do? And then there's just a funny Easter egg to the first Iron Man movie where Iron Man was supposed to propose to Pepper Potts, but it doesn't work out or whatever. And then he finally does as the big announcement at the end of this movie or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the movie.
Any?
Except for they reveal at the end that Zendaya's MJ.
Oh yeah, and there's gonna be like a weird, or not a weird. There's gonna be maybe a romance between them or whatever.
Yep.
It's kind of alluding to that.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, other than that, any loose ends from the movie that you wanted to bring up?
Oh, not really.
No, yeah. I guess just what are your final thoughts, and what would you recommend it? What would you score it? You know?
Yeah. I would probably give this like an 8. I think it's
Out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty on par with a lot of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. The only complaint I have is like just comparing it to the Sam Raimi ones. Clearly, they have more personality.
Well, yeah, just because this has to connect to a ever-expanding universe or whatever.
Yeah, like we said, it's to its detriment sometimes. I feel like people really have problems with this movie because these two movies, because they are just too tied into everything else that's happening in the rest of the world. But it's just like, also, it is kind of cool because it's like, these characters have always all existed in this same universe.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with like the Sam Raimi films sometimes, though, is like they make reference to Doctor Strange in one of the Sam Raimi films. And it's like, that motherfucker does not exist in that universe.
No.
Like, you cannot tell me that he does, because he just does not.
Yeah, it does create a fuller picture where you're like, there's a lot of other shit going on in this world with other heroes and other villains, and that is cool, but sometimes it does take away from like the small scale personal stuff of Spider-Man.
Yeah, because one of your issues, like we were talking earlier, is that Iron Man doesn't really get called out for how he like creates the villain of this movie and stuff, only in like small things, and it really doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and also that like as the audience, you already understand Iron Man from all the other previous movies.
But if you go into this without watching them, then you just kind of, you don't get a full picture really with his character or whatever.
And also my problem is, so the audience understands Iron Man and why he makes certain decisions. Spider-Man does not, and he does not question Iron Man in a way, like, he just questions him in just a teenage rebellious way where he's like, I want to be Spider-Man, but he doesn't question him in a way like, maybe it's wrong that you're, like, dangling the thought of being an Avenger in front of my face or something like that. Yeah. I just wish Peter was a little more reciprocal in their relationship and kind of understood the pros and cons of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that was the point I made to you, is that in other MCU movies, they kind of do that, and it's just the fault on this that they have these characters in other movies, so they can do that kind of stuff in other movies.
Yeah.
But it does take away from the movie that they can't do it in this specific movie or whatever. I do agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8 or closer to a 9, just because I just think it's a really solid movie. There are, like we said, there's a few weird things. Some of the jokes don't land or whatever, but other than that, it's like just a really classic Spider-Man film. It's just got all of it going for it that I want from a Spider-Man film, honestly.
Yeah, and I think they go out on a limb and try to do some different things, like focusing on school and his friends and Ned and stuff, and I think it really worked.
And I know one of my biggest criticisms about Spider-Man stories is like, oh, they have to have a heavy inclusion of Uncle Ben and or Aunt May, and I think this movie doesn't super heavily have Aunt May in it.
I fucking got more of her than I did out of the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. Also, we didn't mention that she figures out Peter's Spider-Man at the end of the film.
Yeah.
But
she says, "What the fuck?"
and with that, that will wrap up our review.
Hell yeah.
I'd like to thank you all for showing up. That was very, very fun. We will be coming at you soon and fast with a Far From Home review, so you best be looking out for it.
Yep.
We're gonna rate Chugs because he's playing Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I hope that you guys enjoy that, and yeah. Other than that, I hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.